Under One Roof MTL, hosted by Robin Flynn, featuring mortgage brokers Fred and Martin and real estate expert LJ Aguinaga. Presented by Fred and Martin Mortgages and LJ Realties.
This is Under One Roof MTL, where we demystify home ownership one episode at a time. My name is Robin Flynn. I'm joined, as always, in studio by Fred Pichette and Martin Spalding of Fred and Martin Mortgages. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Robin.
Can you believe this is the last show of the season?
I can't, actually. Like, are you done Christmas shopping? Because I'm not.
No, it's like this fall went like whiplash fast.
I know. It really, really did.
Anyway, hi, Robin.
Hi. We'll be back in January. This is not the last show ever.
Ever.
Just before the break. Also joined by LJ Aguinaga of LJ Realties. Are you done your Christmas shopping yet, LJ?
I am, actually, believe it or not. But it was on my to-do list this week, so I got it done.
I still have to buy for my dad and my husband.
So in other words, Amazon was pretty busy this week.
No, a couple other stores, actually.
I'll take 2 of those,
yes, but
three of those.
Yeah. Amazon comes in clutch with the next day shipping, I have to say. Okay, we're going to start with our trivia question of the week, brought to you by Felix and Norton Cookies. You can visit their store at the Blue Haven Shopping Center, 3705 St. John's Boulevard in DDO. The first person to text in the correct response to 514-790-0800 will receive delicious cookies from Felix and Norton delivered straight to their door. Our question this week: what does RRSP stand for? If you think you know it, 514-790-0800. Make sure you include your name so that you can become famous when we announce you as the winner on the air.
Another easy one this week.
A bit of a softball. I'm feeling like Santa Claus this week.
Tis the season.
Tis the season, to be generous. 514-790-0800. Text in your answers now. So this week, we're kind of taking a look back at everything that has happened in 2025. But I do want to start with, before we get into all of that, the Bank of Canada's final announcement for the year. They decided not to cut or increase interest rates. They are just going to hold the path, hold steady, however you want to say it, which is what all three of you predicted.
Now I'm looking at the gang. Any surprise there, Fred?
No, not really.
LJ?
Not at all. We predicted this last week.
Yeah.
just because we predicted it last week doesn't mean it's going to become a reality.
But no, when it came out that way, it's not surprising, you know?
No.
Well, I remember in 2024, both Martin and LJ were a little more conservative with their rate predictions for the years. And Fred was very, nope, they're going to cut by, and I think they even cut more than Fred had originally predicted.
Approximately what I say.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
happened.
In general, in life, approximately what Fred says.
Exactly. But you know what? It's funny. I'm not as bold as I was on 2026 now.
Oh.
I know Fred is very optimistic, and Fred's been saying 50 basis points, 75 basis points in 26. I'm kind of pulling back, and I think what we're seeing right now is the new norms, is the new reality of mortgage rates. I'm not saying there won't be some fluctuation, but there's so much that's going to happen in 26. Are we going to settle the tariffs? Kuzma's up for negotiation. Our relationship with our neighbors down south is not the greatest right now. Are we going to find ourselves with a majority liberal government at the federal level? There's an election next fall in Quebec. I mean, there's so much going on in 26, and how is that going to impact the Bank of Canada's decisions going forward? Yet to be seen.
And we have economists now are saying that they're going to probably hold for a while, that the next few announcements may also include no change.
I mean, we're going to talk about it in the third segment, but if someone is looking at a mortgage, and we often say time in the market, timing the market, if you guys are thinking of renewing, if you guys are thinking of refinancing, if you guys are thinking of buying, I would base it on what we're seeing today and not hope that the Bank of Canada is going to do you a favor in 2026. So I would model out whatever the mortgage may cost you based on today's rates. I'm not saying there won't be a fluctuation, but I think we're now entering the new norm.
Interesting.
LJ, what do you thought?
I think that we're still at the mercy of what's happening in the U.S. I think that every single day we're still exposed to new news. I remember at the beginning of the years, it felt like every week we were getting almost slapped with a new piece of information that's like, how is this going to impact where we're heading? I really think that we got to go day by day and continue to effectively make decisions based on the information we have in front of us today and what's in it for the long run. We won't be able to predict the future. So ultimately, take the information we have, make the best decision we can today, and live with that is effectively all we can do.
Well, I think things could change very quickly. If you go back to in January 2020 of this year, interest rate was at least 1% more. And right now, it's kind of low, which is, thing could change, like if inflation and unemployment, are still good. I don't think we're going to have a lot of more rate cut, but
unemployment's not going to be looking good. Again, the way they judge it is still, unfortunately, a complete joke as far as I'm concerned. But nevertheless, they said that we added 54,000 jobs, of which most of them were part-time, if not all of them were part-time. Yeah. They failed to mention that we lost 10,000 full-time jobs. And everywhere I speak to right now, people are definitely feeling the pinch in the economy, how things are not great, especially with everything going on in the U.S. with AI, how many people can potentially be replaced with what's going on. I think really in January, February, we're going to see where statistics truly fall in terms of spending, in terms of inflation, and where unemployment might truly land. Yeah,
especially when you hear adding jobs in the news, it feels like they're spinning and twisting the numbers a little bit. Because, I have friends who are experienced, well-educated, who tell me, Robin, I apply for like 100 jobs a week on LinkedIn and Indeed, and I don't even get a response, let alone an interview, let alone the job. Like, that's insane.
Because the great irony is your CV is being read by AI.
AI.
Yeah. So you got to build your CV so that it's a reflection of the job posting, and maybe AI will say...
LinkedIn has a whole AI component to it.
Exactly.
So we actually posted a position this week, and I think we got 35 applicants, and the AI feature of LinkedIn would tell us how many were great candidates versus how many did not fit, based on, basically it took our ad and it said there was 9 important points of it, and they would score each candidate, how many of those 9 points did they actually score on or have the qualifications for, and then shortlist them from there effectively.
So going back to rates, the benchmark can't be the rates that we saw during COVID.
Yeah.
What we're now seeing post-COVID is what we were seeing pre-COVID. And I think the new norm is high 3s, low 4s, depending if you're looking at variable. I mean, we had an incredible variable rate offer this week, and we called a lot of our clients, and even some of our clients are going, yeah, you know what, I've always been a fixed rate person. I see the strategy of signing variable right now, but I'm concerned that, the bond market was trending up last week, which was pushing fixed rates up. So, I agree with LJ. I think we got to go at it day by day, and you have to do your analysis based on what you're comfortable with.
And you also need to not live in the past. Honestly, I was having a great conversation with a friend recently who just bought a house, and they were agonizing over, like, I got this rate, but then I saw somebody else got this rate. And I was like, the rate that you got is the rate that you got. There's nothing you can do about it now. You can just work with what you got and move forward. Right?
Well, sometimes, it's like going fishing, right?
Right.
The fish I caught is this big, when in reality it was a minnow. So a lot of people like to brag about their mortgage rates.
That's true.
And I often hear Fred say on the phone, hey, why don't you send me that rate? And the guy says, well, you know what? So it sounds like a fishing expedition more than anything else.
Interesting. Okay.
And to be honest, a rate below 4% or at 4%, it's not that high. Like if you compare to 1989, 1990, probably many listeners remember that interest rate was at 12, 13% of that.
14, all the way up to 19 even.
Yeah.
But even if we kind of take a step back from that, I like to remind people
that far back, LJ?
I'm a good reader. I read it in a book some point,
You read a book?
Hard to believe, I understand. But the historic average for Canadian interest rates has been 5%. Right. So the second we dip below 5%, we're below the average historically. So automatically, it is a good rate, whether we compare it to that 1.5, 2.8, whatever it might be. That is not realistic. If we can get to that 3.8 to 4% threshold, that's a very healthy place to be as a consumer, and you're locking in a very solid rate.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we talk about a lot on this show is about the supply, the inventory that has been lacking for several years.
Which is still lacking.
It's still lacking, but we did launch, or not we, I wasn't part of it, but Canada launched the Build Canada Homes and Housing Commitments Program. That was part of the federal budget, which did finally pass. Are we feeling good about the prospect of more housing being developed in this country, or are we still maybe a little bit jaded and we'll wait and see?
I think housing is going to continue to be added. Will it be added at the rate that we need? Tough to say. The biggest factor, as far as I'm concerned, is immigration as well. We keep on adding people into the country. We don't have the housing for it. As a landlord, pretty excited because I believe we're expected to get 140,000 new immigrants in the province of Quebec next year. And the expectation is that at least 95% of them are going to stay in Montreal or the greater Montreal area. Therefore, housing is going to feel another pinch currently. Yeah. We saw rents pull back a little bit this year with the shift in the short-term rentals, but the expectation is that if immigration comes into these numbers, which are going to happen realistically, then housing requirements are going to go up and rental prices will continue to go up as well.
which is good for landlord.
Correct.
But not great for tenants, I guess?
Not great for the general population and most consumers, 100%.
Interesting.
And again, coming back to housing, we've mentioned this a few times this fall, is everybody wants to buy the forever home as their first home. And the secret behind getting into the housing market is just to get a home. And then start paying down your mortgage and start building equity. And then the sweet spot, and I'd like to hear Fred and LJ on this, is the sweet spot is to hold that home 4 to 7 years, because then the amount of your mortgage has gone down in a significant way and your equity has gone up. And with the equity that you've built in your home, that's when you parlay that into your next home, and so on and so forth.
Still to come, some of the biggest stories and changes in the Montreal real estate market this year. LJ's going to break it down for you. This is Under One Roof MTL on CJD 800. I'm Robin. That's LJ. That's Fred. That is Martin. Thank you so much for listening and spending some of your Sunday with us. Getting a lot of people texting in. Do they have the right answer, though, to our question of the week? What does RRSP stand for? There's still time. If you think you know it, 514-790-0800.
And a quick shout out to Peter and Brenda. Fred and I went to see them on Friday. And we're talking about car batteries, because I was driving my wife's car on Friday because my car is away, and the car battery died.
Oh, no. It was very cold last week. Cold, windy, stormy.
No, there's no reason for it to die.
Oh, okay.
So it was a major headache on Friday afternoon. I left the house at 9 o'clock in the morning and got home at 7:30 that night.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I was very pleased.
So much fun. Okay, so let's talk about stuff that's a little bit happier for people who are looking to purchase their first home. LJ, Montreal's inventory did rebound a little bit. We kind of shifted away also from the COVID era bidding wars. And those were crazy bidding wars, because it's hard to get into a bidding war when you don't know what the other bids are, right? I remember that when we bought our house. There's other offers. Should we increase our offer? Is their offer lower? Is their offer higher? We don't know. It's so hard to make a decision. But we're kind of moving away from that now, aren't we?
We are, definitely. I'd say this year we saw multiple offer situations in roughly 15%, maybe 20% transactions, but mostly early on. The second half of the year, there was a lot less multiple offer situations, and it kind of comes with the cycles of the Montreal real estate market. The spring market is obviously the busiest time of the year, and I say spring, but to be honest, it starts third week of January, first week of February is when it really starts, because with our unofficial National Moving Day of July 1st, everybody tends to want to make their moves in May, June, and prepare to give up their current rentals for July. And even people who are currently homeowners who are upgrading or downsizing or whatever it might be, there's always the school year to consider as well, right? So people don't want to move in the middle of the school year. So all of this to say that the early part of the year, the first half, is the busiest part of the year, and that's why we see the most multiple offer situations there, but again, significantly less than COVID. And the second half of the year is where we actually see a bit more deals, to be honest. We see a bit more negotiation room, especially right now before the holidays. We've seen vendors who just want to kind of wrap things up, if you will, in 2025. They're willing to make a move, and it might be a great time if you are a buyer looking right now.
So right now, buyer or seller's market?
Montreal is still in the seller's market as a whole.
Okay.
Regardless, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, Montreal is in a seller's market, across the board, except for condos downtown.
Now, do you think over the Christmas holidays, because Fred and I always think that in mid to late December things are going to wind down, and I can tell you my phone was ringing off the hook yesterday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. And I looked at Fred. I said, "You told me that things were going to get a little bit more quiet." Yeah. And it's
sit on a throne of lies.
The complete opposite.
It's just because we have refinanced too, Martin, the clients that wants to refinance.
That's just it. But what about on the real estate side?
So my colleague Amanda said this week even. She said, "I learned very early on in my career that there is no expected slow time in real estate. Every time LJ said, 'Oh yeah, it's going to slow down around then,' it always inevitably." 3 new clients, this happens. In real estate, there's almost a saying as well, if you're a realtor, that if business is slow, just plan a vacation. Don't worry, your business will pick up. Everybody will start calling you right before you're about to go on vacation to make something happen.
In other words, as soon as you plan your vacation, as soon as you put your credit card down, the phone starts to ring again.
100%.
Right.
So
it brings you back to work.
There are cycles, yes, 100%. There is slower time overall, but we've been very blessed to have the busiest November of our, I think, history, to be honest. December is also quite busy right now. So in general, we're super excited and super happy that we get to help this many families every single year and that we continue to do this.
Well deserved.
Okay, so let's also talk about affordability reset conversations and buyers looking off island. Now, this is something that a lot of people my age are looking at when they're saying, even I lived on the island of Montreal for almost 20 years before I decided to buy a house and move to the South Shore because I could get more house for my money than I could on the island. Is this a conversation you're having with your clients?
100%. The reality is all of us have a budget, whatever that might be, depending on your situation, that shifts. And when you're about to spend 500, 600, 400, 750, whatever that number is, everyone wants to make the best use of their money. And if you're looking to have a larger family, if you're looking for more space, if you're looking for these types of features, then you're going to get much more home the further out you go. So that's why, I mean, we saw Vaudreuil, St. Lazare, Hudson this year take off absolutely. We also have the hospital that's going to be added to Vaudreuil. Any area that is kind of very well serviced, that is still within a 30 to 45 minute commute, no traffic to downtown Montreal, is prime real estate, is the reality. There's no other way of looking at it. I mean, Chateauguay has done super well this year as well.
Yep.
And even as far as Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, we've seen crazy gains out there. So
has the REM actually been a factor when the REM runs? But has the REM been a factor of people going, you know what, I'm prepared to move out a little further to get more land, more property, more house, because I can park my car and take public transportation into the city. I don't have to tackle to carry every day.
Look, the REM has always been an idea, and I'd say that 5 years ago almost, people started buying with the idea of seeing the prices spike in all the areas that were going to be serviced by the REM.
Right.
Around the same time that people were trying to make this play happen in general, we had the COVID market that really just spiked the entire market overall. I don't know that I would say that areas that are well serviced by the REM spiked more than non-well serviced. I will say that anywhere that has transit, like another hub that I saw do really, really well was Sainte Catherine, Saint Philippe, those areas over there that have a train that gets you to downtown Montreal within 30 minutes, even though it's not a REM. As long as you have good, solid public transit that's going to get you into the city for work, most people are also not coming into the city more than 2-3 days a week, if that.
Actually, I was going to go there because a lot of people thought they could work from a distance because that was the new norm during COVID. But now a lot of employees are being called back. So are you seeing people who have moved to Saint-Sauveur, Morin Heights, St. Agathe, having to move back into the city because they just can't handle the commute?
I have gotten a couple phone calls of that.
Okay.
So I'd say that people who went as far as St. Agathe, etc., 100%. Once they went into the Laurentians, those people now realize that, okay, if I'm going to be going in even 2 days a week, it's a long commute. To sit on the 15 in the middle of the week in traffic, especially because most offices, for whatever reason, are in Tuesdays and Thursdays. I see it in our building. The parking lot on Tuesdays and Thursdays is jammed full versus Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're pick up the litter. Yeah. No problem.
Right.
So because of that, those are the days that traffic is the busiest. Even for me, who lives a 10-minute drive to the office, on those days I plan to be 15 to 17 minutes because traffic around downtown gets so busy. So people who went that far out, yes, 100%. It's a factor. They're looking to come back because it's just very tough. But people who stayed within public transit accessible areas, no, they're very happy where they are. They have their more space. They get the quality of life they're looking for, and they still have access to transit.
I also want to talk about the condo law changes. Quebec updated its condo regulations in 2025, including a mandatory reserve fund study. What exactly is that, and what are some of the big changes that we saw this year?
So, fun fact, that's actually been in place since 2022.
Oh.
But people have been supposed to do this and implement this, and now this year the government finally put their foot down saying, we're going to start issuing penalties and fines and all that good stuff. Look, it's called the Asset Management Plan. It's an amazing thing. Every building should have this done. And the theory behind it is that every 5 years we have to assess what work the building will need over the next 25 years. We're looking at structure, exterior siding, roofing, balconies, staircases, foundation, you name it. Everything that is important in a building. And we then have to make a budget for how much it's going to cost to execute these repairs, adjusted for inflation, and then we start calculating backwards how much do we need to save today so we have those funds available to us in the next 25 years. This is great. In theory, if we have this, we shouldn't have any cash calls. We shouldn't have any special assessments because we've actually planned for the upcoming expenses. Fantastic. In Quebec, in Montreal specifically, we're dealing with a lot of sticker shock. We have a lot of properties that are close to 100 years old, or even if the new condo tower, not new, but condo towers that are 40, 50, 60 years old, that are a lot of major components are coming due, and they're realizing that they have to start putting a lot of money aside, and from paying $300 a month in condo fees, they're now paying $650, $700. It was a huge slap in the face.
Yeah.
That being said, one way or another, these costs were coming down. Whether it was done in a special assessment of I need 30 grand from you tomorrow, or I need an extra $300 a month from you right now, this was going to happen one way or another. So I think that it's a great preventative measure. I think that it's amazing that we are now having the foresight to protect people, and people are now buying into co-ownerships that are a lot better managed because of these requirements. But this is a huge negotiating point this year because not everyone's adapted. Not everyone has taken the time to do these things right now. When you're buying into co-ownership that's done it versus hasn't done it, I tell people like, hey, if they haven't done it yet, be prepared. Condo fees might go up by $300, $500 a month.
But it's not every condo owner that's ready for that to have the money to that increase of condo
part
fee.
of home ownership, unfortunately, right? Yeah. If you thought that you'd be a homeowner and never have to pay for anything associated to the exterior siding of the property, that was not a good representation.
I think what could happen is back in the days, people were looking, condo fee is only $200. It's fine. It's great. I want to purchase this property, but nobody really look into the...
Yep.
You need the proper counseling for this. That's the reality.
And the best way to get the proper counseling is to work with a guy like LJ who knows what he's talking about. If you think now is the right time to maybe buy a condo, you don't know how to find out if they've done their mandatory reserve fund studies, give LJ a call, 514-500-4040. He'll help you figure it out. Coming up after traffic, mortgage rule changes, interest rate drops. There were a lot of moving parts this year. So what do you need to know? Fred and Martin will break it down for you. This is Under One Roof MTL. I'm Robin. That's Fred. That's Martin. That is LJ. We're with you until 1 p.m. It's our 2025 year in review. It's been a busy year. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of things shifting, and the Bank of Canada made a lot of rate cuts this year. Probably the most common question I imagine you guys got asked was, are rates going to go down?
So what we did is Fred and I went to Google, like as everyone does.
Yes.
And then, so we wanted to see what was trending, because obviously we're in this day in, day out. So sometimes we want to get some objectivity, so we went to Google. And then we took the findings from Google and we ran them through ChatGPT.
Perfect.
And then we ran them through Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI platform. And the top three that we're going to discuss really quickly this morning, or this afternoon, is what was trending the most was the Bank of Canada rate cuts. And then we want to know what kind of questions are people asking into Google or into ChatGPT or into Grok. So the first one was, are mortgage rates going down? Now we hear that day in, day out. And then the second question was, are they done cutting? So if we take a little bit of background, in 2025, the Bank of Canada met 8 times. At 4 of those meetings, in January, March, September, and October, there were cuts of 25 basis points. So that's 100 basis points. That's 1%. So if we extrapolate that into real numbers, so at 1% rate cut on a $400,000 mortgage puts roughly $220 back in your pocket, or $13,000 if you've got a 5-year term. So as much as people were re-signing after COVID at higher rates, every basis points cut for the new people who are currently renewing represents significant savings. And we'll go even further. So Fred and I met a couple last week, and Fred had signed them at 1.64 during COVID.
Yeah.
And, they've got a decent mortgage, but what really concerned them more was not only the renewal cost. So they had a pretty hefty mortgage, but they had a kid during those 5 years. And as we know, grocery prices, gas prices, daycare, all of that has gone up. Formula, all of that stuff has gone up. But the impact of their renewal, so they're going from 164 to probably about 419, 409. We haven't stopped looking for them, but that's a $600 increase month over month. So not only are they concerned about renewing at a higher price, $600 a month, but everything else in those last 5 years has gone up. And that's where the stress is really coming in.
Well, the solution for them, maybe, if they can afford that extra monthly cost on their mortgage, it could be to extend the amortization period, you know. Sometimes people say, I don't want to pay that much interest, but look at your budget first, Maybe it's the best solution. Because if you extend the amortization, technically you start on 25 years. 5 years later, you have 20 years left. And if you bring it back to 30 years, it's going to give you pretty much the same payment that you had during COVID time, that could be a solution, like extending your amortization up to 30 years. Obviously, you're going to pay much more interest because you extended it, But at least cash flow wise, it could be better, and also to budget to get a better budget every month, you know?
Yeah, because wages haven't kept up with inflation, right?
No,
so everything costs more and you're not making more.
So if we continue down this road, the second thing was exactly that. Renewals. How much is it going to cost me at renewal? And so the worst thing you can do is to wait for your renewal notice from your current lender to come in. The best thing you can do is to be proactive, which will give you a lot more options. And very similar to what Fred just said, to renew is basically same balance of mortgage, same amortization period. And the lazy thing to do is to simply sign the form that your current lender is sending you. And generally, that's not their best offer because they count on you being lazy. The best thing you can do is to shop your mortgage around, even if you're renewing it with another lender. But what we just said is everything has gone up. And what a lot of people are doing are subsidizing their lives with HELOCs, lines of credit, and credit cards. So instead of just looking at a renewal, run the numbers and ask yourself, should I use some of my equity to pay down my debt? And so what you can look at is refinancing. And when you're refinancing, you can stretch out your amortization and you can consolidate all that debt. So the easy thing to do is the notice comes in, you go, that seems fair. Let me just sign that and move on. The best thing to do is to be proactive or call Fred and I, and I'm going to preach for my own paroisse, as they say, and we will run the numbers for you. And and we met an interesting gentleman on Friday, and he said, Martin, should I renew my mortgage? Should I sell my place and become a renter? And we're actually running all those numbers for him. And when the numbers are black on white on a piece of paper, they talk to you and they help you with your decision. So we're happy to do that for you, but just don't sign the renewal. And the other thing, the renewal will generally come at the last minute, which won't give you any time if you decide, the renewals come in, maybe I should shop it around. And you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you pass your maturity date, and because you're now negotiating with a new lender, you put yourself in an open mortgage scenario, and an open mortgage scenario is just a waste of money. So 6 months out, 12 months out, start looking and start running the numbers, and base your numbers on today's rates. Hope is a terrible strategy. If you hope the Bank of Canada is going to do you a favor in 2026, then you're in for a rude awakening. Starting
early is key here. So I know you always say, 6 to 12 months out, start having those conversations.
What do you got to lose?
Well, and as someone who just refinanced, it can take a while. It can take up to 2 months by the time you get your approval and your notary appointment because they're so busy right now.
That's the best point. I mean, the lenders are overwhelmed right now.
Yep.
But you know who's even more overwhelmed than the lenders?
Notaries.
The notaries. Try to find a notary. We just closed on a mortgage this week, and we had lined up a notary, and she said to us, guys, I'm so overwhelmed, I can get to it January 21st. I said, excuse me?
Wow.
January 21st. So luckily, Fred has got a great network. He called a couple of people, and boom, we found someone who could actually do it in the first week of January. So because the person was so stressed because they were looking at another mortgage payment, they were looking at another month going down the road where they were in an open mortgage scenario where they had to make another mortgage payment and so on and so forth. They just want to get it done. But we couldn't find a notary that was willing to do it. And shout out to the notaries. If you've got some available time, give us a call because we got business for you.
Yeah. So what if somebody's in a situation where they truly are like, I cannot handle this new payment. Like I literally don't have the money to do this and pay my credit card debt and pay for food on the table for my family. What are their options that they have before they're in an absolute crisis?
Well, if you're hemorrhaging, the worst thing you can do is miss a mortgage payment, miss a credit card payment. Because God forbid you need to downsize and you sell this home to buy another home, you'll need a mortgage on your other home.
Yeah.
And so if you're hemorrhaging now and you miss some mortgage payments or your credit goes berserk, you may have trouble once you sell that house getting another mortgage. So again, be proactive. If you know that you're heading for the wall at 100 miles an hour, pump on the brakes, give us a call, and we'll build a strategy for you.
I love that.
There also the reverse mortgage for people who are 55 and up. Could be a good option as well. if you can afford your payment because you have a low income and you went through your saving, or you don't have much of saving, a reverse mortgage could be a good one. Or, as Martin says, we could refinance up to 30, even 35 years with certain lenders.
Yeah, because if you look at your federal and your provincial pensions, and you're still carrying a mortgage, it's just not enough there. And if you don't have a pension, or if you don't have any significant savings, and your income has gone from being 2 full-time salaries to 2 pensioners, you may find yourself in a situation where if you want to stay in your house, don't renew your current mortgage, consider a reverse mortgage, and have the equity in your house start working for you.
Do we want to quickly go over some of the mortgage rule changes? I know there was a lot of talk about 30-year insured mortgages this year.
Well, number 3 on the list, and I'll let Fred run with it. Number 3 on the list is, do I qualify for a 30-year mortgage, amortized over 30 years?
Yeah.
And the rules have changed, but they haven't necessarily addressed the fundamental problem, is affordability.
Right. Well, it helps a little bit because now since December 15, 2024, which is basically in 2025, you could have an insured mortgage with an amortization on 30 years for any first buyers, which is back then in 2024, it was just for new build, but now they open it up for everyone's as a first-time home buyers. And the 30 years amortization obviously helps to to increase the affordability, but not that much. You still have to run the stress test, which is you have to qualify on a 2% extra interest rate.
Because a bad way of using a 30-year amortization or 30-year mortgage is if you don't qualify for a 25-year mortgage, don't stretch it out thinking that it's going to make a huge difference to going to 30. If you're already stretching yourself to buy that house using a 30-year amortized mortgage, it's probably because you're looking to spend too much on the house, or the mortgage is more than you can properly handle.
So that's when you need to decrease your budget. Go to LJ and say, we got to bring these numbers down a little bit. We're not looking
LJ, find me a house in Hudson.
Yeah, for $250,000 instead of $500,000.
Everybody wants to live in Westmount or Outremont, but there's nothing wrong with living in adjacent Westmount or adjacent Outremont.
Hey, small town living is great.
Or the adjacent of the island of Montreal.
I wouldn't say adjacent Westmount to small town living.
No, but NDG. Suburban life is nice.
NDG. No damn good. No damn good.
Okay, so to find out more about what your lending options are before you find yourself in crisis mode where you're hemorrhaging money, get in touch with Fred and Martin. Go to their website at fredandmartin.com. 12:45 is the time. After we check traffic, we've got our property of the week, and we've also got the answer to our trivia question of the week. What does RRSP stand for? We are wrapping up on Under One Roof MTL. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you taking an hour of every Sunday to spend time with us. So thank you for being a part of the show, because you are what makes Under One Roof what it is. It's time now for our property of the week, our last property of the week for 2025. You better make it a good one, LJ.
Oh, thank you for the pressure.
You always have good ones.
Yeah, it's true. They're always amazing.
If you're looking for space, style, and serious parking, welcome to 844 Rue Agnes. Serious parking, believe it or not.
Serious parking, okay.
Welcome to 844 Rue Agnes in the heart of St. Henry. This 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo blends traditional charm with modern updates. From stained glass skylights to 2 private balconies and over 1,550 square feet of living space. Ooh. Bonus, private garage plus 3 driveway spots.
Wow.
That's serious.
That's serious.
That's serious.
And this home used to belong to the mayor of St. Henry.
No way.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, so you'd be surrounded by royalty back in the day.
Okay.
You have a good connection.
Steps from the metro, facing the park, and all the buzz of St. Henry. Don't miss your chance to secure this gem. Listed at $1.1 million. Contact us at 514-500-4040 to book your private showing today.
So where are we going to go eat?
There's a little place called the Le Luncheonette, which is about a block and a half away. They've got great date squares. They've got great little croissant sandwiches. It's a small little joint, but every time I'm around there doing whatever, I'll usually end up there picking up a coffee and a sandwich, or coffee and a snack. And super friendly, super small, quaint. I like them a lot.
Because we were talking about this off air, and I got to live on the corner of Rufus Roquette and Charlevoix for almost 10 or 15 years.
Wow.
And I mentioned that I moved in there when the SAQ and the Super C weren't there.
Wow.
And then I also brought up the fact that there used to be a coffin factory.
Upbeat.
And every Friday they'd open the garage door and they'd load the coffins into a semi-truck and haul them away. So I'm trying to date myself. I'm trying to remember, when did I move into, it was called Le Bief des Seigneurs, and it was probably the only high rise in the neighborhood.
Wow. Because I only remember the Super C being there.
Well, there used to be a field, and the beauty of living there is that I could, at 8 o'clock, I would leave my apartment, I would go to Première Moisson, and the raisin bread was coming out of the oven, and I could bring it back to my apartment, and the raisins in the raisin bread were still warm.
Oh my goodness. So good. So good. Okay, we need to get to the answer to our trivia question of the week. I want to give away some cookies. They're not my cookies to give away. They're Felix and Norton cookies to give away.
What a great thing to bring to a Christmas dinner.
For real. People will love some Felix and Norton cookies after their turkey. Sounds perfect. Our question this week was, what does RRSP stand for? The answer, of course, is a Registered Retirement Savings Plan. Congratulations to Michael in Côte Saint-Luc for correctly guessing. A lot of people participated, but he was first. We got like 100 responses.
Important to say, though, start contributing to your RRSP as quickly as possible, because it's all about compounding.
And you could use it for if you're a first-time home buyer, as your down payment too.
Yeah, up to $60,000 per person now.
Yep, there's definitely no downside to contributing to an RRSP.
No.
Okay, that pretty much does it for us for this week and for this year. If you have a question for the guys, they remain available to you. You can reach out to them individually and they can help you out, especially if you're looking to buy a house or refinance. LJ, where do people go to get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me at ljrealties.com. You can also call me at 514-500-4040. Also, check out all of our socials at LJ Aguinaga or LJ Realties. And if you're looking to get back some of your time, reach out to the Plex Doctor. You can contact us at plexdr.com or 514-709-6397.
Thierry at the Plex Doctor is awesome as one of the tenants of a Plex Doctor managed property. You guys are amazing. He lets me know that, Hydro's cutting your power today for a certain period of time. Your mail got delivered to your neighbor. They've got it for everything. The communication is top notch.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the feedback.
Yeah. Fred, Martin, where do people go to get in touch with you?
So just taking a little step back, I just want to thank the three of you.
Tell
the three of you how much I appreciate you and how much I've learned working with the three of you over the last, it's been 2.5, 3 years that we've been doing this show, and how much I think that our listenership is starting to appreciate the work that we put in and the advice and the information that we dispel every week. I was at the Côte Saint-Luc pool, and I had to renew my fun card. And the guy at the counter said, "Martin Spalding, are you the guy on Under One Roof MTL?
You're famous."
He goes, "I love that show. I listen to it every week. And the second that I save up enough to buy a house, I'm calling LJ." So you know what? We put a lot of work into this show. We love the feedback, but we also appreciate the listenership and the people who support us. So to get in touch with Fred and I, the best way to do it is through the website, fredmartin.com. You can book us. You can call us. You can send us an email. Best way is fredmartin.com or
fredandmartin.com.
What was that again?
fredmartin.com.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me write that down.
And actually, fredetmartin.com.
En français aussi.
Ben oui, en français, on parle les deux.
And in Spanish, too.
And in Spanish, because Fred's Spanish is perfect, and now I'm starting to understand because I hear the conversations all day long.
I also want to mention the Super C has been there since at least 2007.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Good.
That's almost 20 years.
Yeah, no, I think I moved down there. It must have been in
96, you mentioned?
You said 96.
Yeah, 96, 98.
Okay.
And it was a little shady back then.
It was. It had character, though.
Yeah.
It had character.
Now you sound like a realtor.
Yeah.
And you know what? I should have kept that apartment.
What would it be
because
worth?
I think I paid, it was 2,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
That's worth over $1 million now.
I think I paid $135,000 for it. And it would have been a perfect rental property, and it had 2 parking spaces. That's serious parking.
That is serious parking.
That's worth over $1 million today.
You think so?
I know so.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I should have kept that place.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just goes to show that real estate is one of the best investments you can ever make.
And it would have been tax-free for him.
Because it would have been his primary residence. You wouldn't have had to pay capital gains.
Well,
Look at me learning things.
Wow, boom!
Learning things over here.
But I do live in a home now, so it's all relative.
But it all would have been protected.
Okay, if you missed anything, you can listen to this show in its entirety on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. If over the holidays you missed the guys, you can go binge watch old episodes and listen to them on Spotify. For LJ, Fred, and Martin,
And just so you know, during the
I was going to say, check out my YouTube channel if you're missing us.
Yeah.
Yes, you can see faces too, because LJ, you put out a lot of really great content on YouTube and on Instagram, and it's definitely worth watching.
But don't be shy during the Christmas holidays, because we're on call. So if you need us, give us a call, because I think there will be transactions taking place between Christmas and New Year's where usually the whole city just goes or disappears and goes quiet. But I think there's such a cadence right now that if you need our help, give us a call. Same thing with LJ.
Awesome.
100%.
For LJ, Fred, and Martin, my name's Robin. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy
First day of Hanukkah today.
Yep. Enjoy your latkes. Make some sufganiyot. I'll be making some with my daughter. She loves them because my daughter is half Jewish, so we celebrate both in our house. So happy holidays to everybody. Thanks, Dario, by the way, on the board. Merry Christmas.
The opinions expressed in the preceding program were provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJ 8800 or Bell Media. Listeners should always consult their own real estate agent with questions or concerns. The preceding was sponsored content.
Under One Roof MTL, hosted by Robin Flynn, featuring mortgage brokers Fred and Martin and real estate expert LJ Aguinaga. Presented by Fred and Martin Mortgages and LJ Realties.